Hi guys, welcome back. Today we're going to be discussing the Q3 result of three companies: RR Cable, Indo Count Industries, and the last one is Iron Exchange. Okay, so first thing first, let's talk about RR Cable. If you look at the entire wire and cable industry, you're seeing that the earnings growth for everybody is coming down. So RR Cable has been no less compared to that. If you look at RR Cable versus let's say Polycab and KI, first of all, RR Cable का अगर आप division के बारे में बात करते हो, around 90% of their revenue, 89 to 90% of the revenue comes from this wire and cable segment, and another 10 to 11% comes from FMEG segment. Now in this wire and cable also, majority portion, I believe around 74% comes from B2B, and the other rest comes from B2C. Okay, so this is the revenue breakup you can talk about RR Cable. Now another interesting thing is, if you look at Polycab, KEI, RR Cable has the highest portion coming from export, the revenue. Okay, it's around 26 to 29%. Last quarter it was 29, this quarter it is 26%. If you look at Polycab is in single digits. It fluctuates between 8 to 10%. This time it was 6%. KEI is also a bit higher, I would say, somewhere I think around 10 to somewhere in the range between 10 to 15 or 15 to 20. Now we've seen that the entire export portion of the book has been really compressed for all the three companies, and of course, since RR Cable has a majority of the portion coming from export, they have even they have suffered a lot more compared to the other players. Because if you see Polycab, at least their revenue grew by 17%. If you look at KI Cable, their revenue grew I think around 15%, and RR Cable grew lesser than that, around 10% year on year. So one of the reasons why is because Polycab had mentioned in the con call also, export mein kya hua, the reason why there is so much pressure on export is because of the Israel-Hamas war, right? What has happened, the entire Red Sea ka route jo hai, it has been blocked. As a result, whichever sale is supposed to happen this quarter, it will get realized in the next quarter, क्योंकि the entire delivery time it has increased. जो delivery 3 weeks में होता था, अभी 6 weeks it is taking time. ठीक है? So because of that, the impact has been so much. Now of course, right, when you talk about Polycab का सिर्फ 10% से कम आ रहा है एक्सपोर्ट से, RR Cable का तो आ रहा है around 26% is coming from export. So of course they're going to face the impact even more. So that is what has happened. If you look at revenue, it has grown hardly by 10% year on year. अगर आप quarter on quarter देखते हो, it has been very flat. If you look at PAT has also been up by 2.8% and down by 4.5%. So there is no operating leverage. आप जो भी बोले, EBITDA margin, PAT margin सब गिरा है इसका. So nothing much to talk here about, right? So that is that. आगे जाके कॉन कॉल में देखते हैं what do they talk about guidance, because they had told that they want to grow about 20% in volumes compared to last year. So this is one thing. Then of course next we have is Indo Count Industries. So Indo Count Industries has been really good. It has been a very surprising result, because I know they don't deal with the same companies, but at the end of the day ये भी पूरा export ही करते हैं. So what does Indo Count Industry do is, you would have seen this bed linens, the bed bed ka cover, pillowcases and everything, right? These people manufacture it and export it to other countries. They work in a lot of B2B brands. Here if you look at their entire revenue, again the same thing. USA around 31% आ रहा है, Europe से 34% आ रहा है, and the rest of the world contribute around 35% of the revenue. Now here, interesting thing is, in spite their entire almost so much is coming from export, they have done exceptionally well. If you look at the revenue, it has been up 8.5% year on year. अगर आप देखते हो PAT has been up 52% year on year. So there's a huge operating leverage. Even आप PAT margins भी देखो, वो भी बढ़ा है from 5.7 to 8.1%. So just like the other results that I was talking about, here you're seeing all revenue, you're seeing PAT, you're seeing operating leverage भी है, and on top of that EPS also has grown. Okay, so because most of the time this quarter we are seeing operating leverage होता है, but EPS has not grown at the same rate. So as a result, this is up. And interesting, another thing why I call it exceptional is because अगर आप देखते हो कि उनका volume has been up by 33%, and they had guided for the volume to be 100 million, 90 to 100 million meter in volume, and they've done around 74.7% meter in volume. So again, great. The only concern I have is, if you look at their quarter on quarter result, there has been a huge drawdown. Quarter on quarter, I think there has been 30% drop on a QOQ basis, and as well as on a year on year basis. If you talk about PAT has grown by has been down by 50%. Now I hope there isn't any shock in con call, or I don't know if there is any fact of seasonality also involved in this business in Q3. So this is something to look out for. I mean, I would watch out for con call, and before making further further opinion on this. Then the last one is Iron Exchange. Iron Exchange is something that the pace of growth has been coming down for the business over a few quarters actually, right? Because last time also, if you see, the company had raised some Yeah, the company had raised some caution, telling ki, like, because whatever is happening in the export, because of the geopolitical issues, there is some uncertainty. Okay, and for them export contributes around 23% of the revenue, so they had told about this. So in spite that has always been there, and now you'll see, like, I think over the quarters, like I told you, like, no pace of growth ghatta hi ja raha hai every year. So this time also the same thing, revenue hardly grew by 7.25%, and PAT though is not even there, it is flat. Similarly with EPS also. So overall it is a mass set of numbers, to be very honest. And last time they had also mentioned कि like chemical sector जो है उनका chemical का segment, they have three segments: engineering, chemical and consumer divisions. So consumer division is where they have higher margin and more profitability, but it is hardly 7 to 10% of the revenue. Majority comes from engineering, and I think 30% comes from वो chemical का segment से. Chemical segment पे उनका तो थोड़ा सा problem था last time. They told it has been very tough for them there, and it's something to look out for this quarter कि like hopefully that has improved या कुछ. And उनका engineering segment maybe they have so many projects, and every project, if you look at it, they have to do a certain part of the work and then they get money, so the working capital days are really a lot over here. So but having said that, all in all, when the sales has been hardly in a single digit, and when the stock is also trading at such high valuation, it doesn't justify. I mean the growth no longer justifies that kind of valuation the business is getting. So that's that about Iron Exchange. And yeah, I'll cover another set of companies in the next video. And until then, see ya, bye bye, take care.